Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's career chat. I have Adam Groulx. He's a project manager here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm Krista Harmon, and I'm one of the career readiness consultants for the Kent Intermediate School District. And I'm looking forward to speaking with Adam today about his career and help you guys figure out what's out there so that you can make some good career decisions yourself. So welcome, Adam. We're so glad you're here today.
Thank you for having me.
So I know that young people, they're fascinated of how people get to where they are. So I'd love to take you back to when you were, 15 or 16 in high school. Did you think you'd go into construction? Tell us more about that early thinking process for you.
Sure. Yeah. When I was in high school, I'll be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do in college or after college. And I think that's common with a lot of young kids, and you shouldn't be afraid of that either. It's hard to make a decision on what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 16 years old. So when I was in high school, I spent 2 summers working as like an assistant helper, you can call it that, at a big condo complex. We were building condos over on the east side of the state. And I did that for 2 years when I was off from school. That's how I got started in construction. That was really my first role in the field. But at the time, it was money. I liked what I was doing. I was outside, and I had no idea I'd be doing that, 15, 20 years down the road.
So at that age, you knew that you wanted to go to college. Was that part of your plan?
Yeah, that was definitely my plan. I just had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So students can do all sorts of jobs in the summer. You could work at a movie theater, you could work at an ice cream shop. How was it that you got into that assistant helper job? Was it somebody that you knew? Did you Tell us about that, how that worked for you?
It was someone that my dad knew. I always say, and there's a saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That can open up a lot of doors for people. So someone my dad knew, this guy was leading a big condo project, and he needed a helper. So they hired me on to do that. And I was really just a gopher. I'd go get things. I had a truck, so I'd go to the hardware store if they needed something, or anything they needed done. That was my job, and it was fun. I liked it, and it paid well.
That's great. So you got to be outside, breathe the fresh air. So you knew right then that was something that you're going to lean towards versus being in maybe an office.
I think so, but when I share some stuff about college, I went down a different path for a while. But at the time, I liked being outside, and I thought that's what I wanted to do, something outside.
Great. So again, I just want to help young people understand just that value of networking, and it is sometimes who we know, and to reach out to people. If your dad or mom doesn't have connections, that you put it out through social media, like ask for who's got something going on for the summer, because you never know what you might find out about.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So you're at college then. And so what was your initial thoughts about college? Did you declare a major in the beginning? Did you kind of keep it open?
I did. When I went to college, I wanted to be a landscape architecture. That's what I wanted to go into. And, my dad kind of talked me out of it. He didn't think it was a wise career choice. And looking back on it, probably wasn't. So I went into electrical engineering, and I did that for about 1.5 years. And I finally went to a day on the job with someone, and all they did was sit in an office all day long, designing stuff behind a computer. And I said, this is not for me. So after 1.5 years, I changed majors and went to business because I didn't know what I wanted to, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm a sophomore in college. I felt like I had wasted 1.5 years. I changed the business, and then I actually got a job doing road construction one summer, and I loved it. I loved being outside again. It brought me back to high school. And then after that, I went back to my junior year, and I changed majors to construction management. So you can imagine, you've spent 2 years at college, and I started over basically, and it was the best choice I ever made. So I spent 6 years in college, but I got the career that I wanted to do. So again, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. Just make sure you're going to do something that is enjoyable to you.
So it sounds like you had 2 really key experiences. One, the assistant helper position at the condos. And did you say that was in high school? 2 summers in high school? Okay, so you had that under your belt. And do you remember what you were thinking about landscape architect that was drawing you in at the time?
Well, I did a lot of side work, like mowing lawns and doing like landscape projects for people, and I got kind of good at it, so it was exciting to me. And I thought, well, there's a career there. I could maybe go into doing that. And I think my dad he might have saw me going down the road of being, mowing lawns as a career or something like that. I don't know what he was thinking, but we decided it wasn't the right choice. And I did go into electrical engineering. Spent a year and a half doing that.
Because you obviously were good with your hands at some level. So people were encouraging you that way.
Right. They were encouraging me. And, I guess the biggest thing is, you don't have to go to college your freshman year and say, oh, I have to be doing this or I have to declare a major. The first year is just miscellaneous classes that you have to do. So don't feel that pressure that you have to declare a major right away.
Yeah. And as a career developer, I'm looking back on your young self and, some of that career development is so important because you would have been giving off some really major clues that you wanted to be outside working with your hands. So
yeah,
it's so great that you did the job shadow with that electrical engineer to get some reality check of what that was about. So again, encouragement to young people to really take the time to watch career chats like this, go on job shadows once COVID's over, see it in person. For me, a one-day job shadow was very significant as well. I was between two things. It was a very significant experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What do you remember about that job shadow day besides it? You're just like, oh my gosh, this is an office job and I don't want this.
That's the main thing I remember is I was waiting for the excitement to happen. And, they were very polite. They brought me around and showed me everything, but really it was just sitting at a chair, designing things all day long. And I walked out of there and I said, that's not for me.
Yeah, because you knew you wanted to be outside. So how did you learn about construction management? Because that is one of those majors, Adam, that sometimes young people don't know exists.
Right. So I got this job again through someone I knew working road construction, and that person was going to school in construction management, and he was telling me about it, and I said, "Wow, that's for me." And I took one entry level course, and I loved it, and that's after that semester I signed up full time, and it took me another three and a half years. But again, it was working with someone that was in the field or taking courses.
Yeah, so why don't you give the young people a big picture of what construction management's all about?
Well, there's varying degrees, from being an engineer, like a low level position, to someone more senior. I'm a project manager right now, so my role is to basically oversee the entire job. And there's people that work with me to do that. But early on in my career, I worked long hours as a very low level engineer, higher than a gopher, right? But still just kind of doing the grunt work. And so there's very aspects to it, I guess, low level to high level.
So the construction managers are the ones that probably handle the budgets of what a project might be. You obviously do the project management. Are there different roles under that kind of, it's probably an umbrella term at some level?
Yeah, so there's superintendents, and those are the people that are actually out on the job site every single day, making sure all the work is getting done. And they do like most of the coordinating of all the different people. And then there's engineers that are kind of, they work with the superintendent, to some level. And there's people definitely in the office side of things that do, the accounting and the budgeting. And then my role as a project manager is to kind of have a little bit of my hands in all of that. So I work on the schedule, the budgets, the coordinating of the people to some degree, but there's definitely people that have more hands-on in each of those. My job is to kind of have a pulse on everything.
I think sometimes when young people hear you talk about your job, they're like, well, how will I know how to do all of that? So can you help us understand some of those touch points once you graduated from college that kind of helped give you those skills to get to where you are? Because I imagine like most degrees, you didn't learn everything in college that you're using today. So what were some of those experiences that got you ready for where you are as an adult?
I would say 90% of what I'm doing now was all learned at my first job, or, in the field. You use a lot of the stuff you learn in school, the math and the stuff like that, but really it's 90% was once I got to my first career, you learn as you go. So again, I started out very low level, working a lot of hours as an engineer, pouring a lot of concrete, to be honest. And then you just work your way up doing different things and you learn as you go. And that's, you make mistakes and you learn from them and you get to where you're at. So it's kind of.
Did you have to be the one to pursue some of those next level? Were you being invited to the next, occupation within your field? Tell us kind of how that movement went for you.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, maybe it would be helpful if I just kind of give you a quick synopsis of what I did when I first started to where I'm at now.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful.
yeah, right out of college, I wanted to travel. So I got a job with a company, one of the biggest construction companies in the country, and I moved to Florida. Um, Worked there for quite a long time. And I started out as a paving engineer. So my role, we were paving concrete on a big highway, and my role was to order concrete, make sure we had enough, make sure we had enough material, schedule the trucks, do all that little stuff to make the work happen. And then I just moved on to different things. I went to be a bridge engineer, where we were building a big bridge, and my job again was to make sure we had the concrete and the material and to build a bridge, and just all these different things. And you work your way up higher and higher in the company. I moved around a lot early in my career when I was younger. And that would be some advice I have to people that are entering the construction field is if you feel like moving around and traveling, there's definitely an opportunity there, and do it while you can. Um, so I worked my way up with that company, and I kept moving around and traveling. And I got to be a project manager there. And eventually the traveling got to be too much for my family. And that's why I moved back to Michigan and got the job with Wolverine.
So help people understand what Wolverine Building Group is.
Yeah, we are a Grand Rapids based company. We do like a lot of Culver's, Taco Bell, stuff like that. We have a division that handles all the fast food type stuff. My division handles big industrial projects, which is big warehouses, big buildings. We also have a multifamily group, which handles condos and apartments and townhomes and stuff like that. But most of our work is here in Michigan. We do travel a little bit throughout the country for our bigger clients like Target and stuff like that. But yeah, Wolverine we're not a huge company, but for the Grand Rapids market, we're a decent sized construction management company.
Sounds like there's lots of variety. So how many other project managers are there like you?
In our company, there's 18. So, there's two different, I guess I'll call it two different ways you can go about construction management. One, you can, like I mentioned earlier, you can travel a lot with some of these bigger national companies. Or if you want to be close to home, there's a lot of companies right in the Grand Rapids area where you don't have to travel a lot. You'll be home every night.
I think some young people might be really surprised, Adam, that when they think about a career and they like the idea of traveling, they would not think of construction as being that type of industry that allows for that. So tell us more about that. Are you gone for like just a week at a time, a month at a time when you're working on projects? What does that look like?
Well, it depends. So when I say travel, I mean so out of college, I moved to Florida because that's where the work was at. And I worked there for quite a while. And then we got a job up in the Chesapeake Bay up by Baltimore. And they said, hey, we need you to go up there and do work there because we were building a big bridge. And a lot of it's about opportunity. So, I could have easily said, no, I don't want to go up there. But at the time, it was a promotion. So I went up there, worked on a bridge up there. Then they said, hey, we got a job in Chicago. So then I moved to Chicago, and then I moved to New York for a little while. So you travel a lot in construction because the work is always moving. That's for these bigger national companies. Now, my company right now, we don't travel so much. I mean, I might be out of town for a night or two at the most. Mm-hmm. But it's really what you want it to be. There's definitely an opportunity to travel and move around.
So when you were in New York and then Chicago, were you saying like a month, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months? What are we talking there?
Chicago, my family, we moved there. And then when I went to New York, I would fly out on Monday mornings and fly home Friday night.
Okay.
So you're away from your family, but you get to live in a hotel. For the younger kids, that might sound cool, but eventually that kind of gets old, living in a hotel every single night.
Right.
Flying home, you fly out Monday morning, fly home Friday night.
Because projects like the bridges or those kind of things, I would think take quite a bit of time. It's not like
they do, and with the big bridges and stuff like that, you got to go to where the work's at. There's not a lot of big bridges here in Grand Rapids.
Right.
Luckily, the company I work for now, we don't do any bridges, so.
Was that like a year or so you had to fly in and out on Mondays and Fridays?
It was about 9 months.
9 months. Yeah.
And that starts to wear on you after a while, especially when you have little kids.
Sure.
But there was also opportunities, one of the things I regret the most is I had a chance to go to Australia when I was in my late 20s and do a project there. And at the time we just had our first kid and my wife didn't want to go, and I regret it. It's like, you could have went to Australia, another country, and did a big job, but so that opportunity is out there in this field to be able to move around.
And like you said, you kind of had a choice at the beginning, like, oh, I don't know if I want to go, but you did take that initial one out to
Baltimore.
yeah, to Baltimore,
Yeah.
and you're glad you did. But again, you have choices, and that's what young people need to hear. That for some people, the traveling is very attractive. For some people, like, oh, I don't want that. But again, sounds like there's lots of variety of options when you have a construction management degree. Do you have to have a construction management degree to do the kind of work, or do people work their way up? Tell us about some other pathways.
You can have, a civil engineering degree. You can have a business degree. I think some type of a construction-based degree would be helpful, but you don't have to. But I would just say, construction management, civil engineering, something like that is what you should go into if you're interested in this field. But I have people that I work with that have business degrees as well. So it really depends on the opportunity, I guess.
What do you think makes you so good at your job, Adam? What are some of the skill sets that you have that maybe you've always had since you were a young person that now you realize, wow, this is kind of unique to me and this is what makes me good at my job, versus some of those things that you had to develop along the way?
Yeah, I think, just thinking about some of the things that make me successful is I'm really passionate about what I do. Like, I don't like to fail. I don't think anyone does, but there's a lot of times I'll be up at night just thinking about stuff on my projects that I have to get done or that we need to correct. So being passionate about what you do, making sure that things don't fail are some good traits that you should have in this field. Like I said, there's a lot of times I'll stay up at night. Maybe that's a problem. I stay up at night thinking about my jobs the next day and what needs to be done on them. Because I manage multiple jobs at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of keep it balanced.
Yeah. So is there special software that you use? Tell us about some of the technology that construction uses today.
Oh, well, we use a tool called Procore, which Procore is just it's an app where you keep all your files and documents. You keep your schedule there. You keep your contracts with all your subcontractors there. You keep anything that's relevant to the job. You keep pictures there. And then you keep, like our superintendents, our people out in the field will put job reports there on what happened every day. And I can go back and look at those and see what happened on that job each day. Because I'm not at my job every single day. I'm here right now, or at one of my job sites, but I'm not here every day. So to keep a pulse on what's happening, we utilize Procore a lot. And then there's like scheduling software and things like that you might use to keep your job scheduled. But really, there's not a lot of high-tech technology that we use. It's just that program, that software.
And is that something that the company helps you learn when they give you training on that? Because again, young people might think, how do I learn that? Is that something you learn in college or kind of per company?
When I was in college, I didn't have Procore, which is this is like the main software now, but they might teach you that in college. We learned scheduling in college, but no, the company definitely taught me a lot when I got here on how to use everything.
So being a person who likes not to fail and really paying attention to detail sounds really important for you. And like you said, you're managing multiple projects, lots of details. Do you work by yourself then, kind of like that electrical engineer in the beginning that you saw in an office by yourself, or are you be having lots of meetings? Tell us what else your workday might look like.
Yeah, so I have a meeting right after this. We have a big schedule meeting, which we'll probably have with the COVID going on, there'll be about probably 10 people in a room. Everyone, all the key players from each subcontractor that we use, we all get in a room together and we talk about the job schedule and what we're doing for the next 4 weeks. So we do that every week. And then I have a meeting this afternoon. We have some big crane picks coming up where we have to set some big equipment up in a building. So we have a big meeting at 1 o'clock to talk about our planning for that and how we're going to do that. And then I have calls with the owners each day and then checking in with everyone that's on each job. Because again, I have 3 big jobs going. So my day is pretty full. I was going to say, earlier in my career when I was traveling a lot, my day would start at about 6 a.m. and it wouldn't get done until 6 p.m. So, but now as I've advanced a little bit, my day usually starts around 7:30 or 8, and I'll be done around 5 or 5:30. So it really depends on the company you're working for, on the hours. Early in my career, I spent 12, 13 hours a day in the job trailer, and it's a little bit less now.
Yeah, I think it's important for young people to understand that it is a journey. It's a career path. You don't get to have the 9 to 5 kind of thing at the beginning that you got to put in your grunt work. Like you were saying, when you were, that assistant helper at the condo, you're the one working those extra long hours, even at the beginning of your career. That's reality. I think it's important for young people to hear.
It really is. And, I would just say, if you know, the 6 to 6 hours that I mentioned, that's a real thing. And it's across the industry for the most part. Now, the company I'm working at now, they don't work those type of hours. And I was shocked when I started here. I said, I can come in at 8. And I said, yeah, I'd always been on the job at 6 a.m. every day. So just I would say be prepared for the longer hours earlier in your career, but it's rewarding. It pays off towards the end.
Absolutely. So it sounds like communication is really important when teachers work on teamwork in high school and communication skills. We're trying to prepare young people for the world of work. And it sounds like with all this coordination and planning with all these different stakeholders, that being able to articulate ideas and just communicate whether you like an idea or you don't like an idea, how do you manage that? So tell us some of the things you've learned about just communication in your career.
Sure. I think early on, I had to really learn that communication is a two-way street, right? So it's not always your way or the highway. So being able to listen to someone else's idea, put that down on paper and have that become the plan. I may always think that my idea is the best way, but it's not. There's other people that know more than me, or they might have a better idea on a way to do something. So being able to have that two-way communication is important. Another thing in our field, you have to be able to work in a group. I work in a group almost every day with other people. So I'm definitely not in a silo working by myself all the time. I mean, there's people on the other side of this wall right now that are part of the team that I'm on. So you got to be able to work in a group as well.
Yeah, that's great. I noticed that you have some drawings up behind you. Tell me about what I hear. One of the best things about being in construction is that you get to actually see the results of your work versus some careers, if it's interpersonal, you don't really see someone move along a pathway to getting better, except for maybe a doctor. But I think like social work, sometimes you don't see that change as quickly as you might like. So tell us about the things that you love about the construction field that you might want young people to know about, why they should give your sales pitch to them.
You're saying there, Krista, can you repeat it a little bit?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It did look like it froze up there for a second. I was just saying that construction seems like a great field as far as you get to see the buildings that you actually build, where some other industries, looks like it's freezing up again, huh? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, we're going. So you wanting me to kind of tell you? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, why you like being construction, the field of construction, and getting to see those tangible results of your work. I'm sorry, it looks like we're losing. Yeah, looks like our bandwidth.
I might have a bad internet connection here.
Yeah, I see some red bars on by your name.
Oh. Yeah, see, I'm in my job trailer right now up in the middle of the state, so it's kind of hard the internet's a little bit bad up here.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
So why don't you go ahead and repeat the question one more time.
Yeah, no problem. I just, what do you like about construction? I heard that just seeing the buildings that you've built and be able to go back, hey, I built that, or I was part of that. What else do you love about the field of construction?
Oh, well, that's the main thing, I think, is seeing, I love getting on our Procore app every day and seeing the pictures that are being taken and seeing the progress. And then, of course, when the job is done, being able to give that building to the client or that bridge or the road or whatever, and turning that over and saying, hey, I helped build that. That's the most rewarding thing in our career. The long hours are a little bit of a drawback, but being able to see that finished project, that's the best thing about the job.
So for young people who are thinking, man, construction, I really like the idea of building something too. What are some things they could be doing in high school, Adam, from your perspective, that could help them start to get some experiences to know, man, this is the right way, or they can learn early that it's not?
Yeah, I think take some of the technology classes that might be offered in your high school. If there's any tech education, I'm trying to think back to my high school, some of the classes I took some automotive classes. I wanted to try that out. I just try different things out and see what you like. But try to get out on a job and do like a job shadow if you can. You guys can share my email at the end of this. If kids want to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to share more with them. But just try to get out there and try different things and see what you really like.
Yeah, we're fortunate in Grand Rapids. We have the Kent Career Technical Center that does have a construction program, but again, many other hands-on programs for young people to kind of test out their skills and see if they like that kind of thing. Does Wolverine offer job shadows, or do you guys do internships with college students? Tell us about what opportunities might be available.
Yeah, as far as the job shadows, I don't think we have a set program for that. Uh, I'm more than willing to have people shadow me if they want to. We do have internships. I have someone working with me right now that's an intern up in Big Rapids, and he comes to our job twice a week and helps out. We definitely offer internships, so those are available, and you can reach out to me if you're interested in that as well.
Yeah, is that something that maybe that young person is in a construction management program and their
Yeah.
school's helping facilitate that internship with you guys?
I'm not sure how he got started, but he's in construction management, I believe, at Ferris State. And again, he's a huge help to us on our job up here, and we're in up by Reed City. It's a little bit north, so he comes to the job a couple of days a week. But I'm not sure how he got started with Wolverine. I think this is like his third summer or third year doing an internship.
Oh, that's great. What a wonderful experience for him. And so
And
I guess
that's
for,
what sorry,
no, go ahead.
I did two internships in college as well, where I got to travel to Phoenix and then out to Massachusetts. So that's one piece of advice I have, is definitely do internships as much as you can when you get into college.
Yeah, it sounds like a really key piece to really learning some of the skills and understanding the lay of the land, making those connections for future jobs.
Mhm.
That first job you got in Florida, was that a connection from a college experience, or had you just seen it in the paper, or how does that work?
Nope. It was a connection with someone I went to college with. He had graduated a year before me, and he said, "Hey, you got to come work with this company." And they flew me down for an interview, and they hired me on the spot. I had a job 6 months before I graduated from college.
That's a
So,
win-win.
but there's a theme there. I mean, almost everything that I've done has been I've known somebody. So again, I go back to, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So make those connections early on if you can.
Absolutely. And that's why it's just a good reminder to young people to always do their best, whatever they do, because you never know who you're meeting along the way, who will be that voice for you at the next job. So if you burn bridges, with pun with what you do, but if you don't keep those relationships positive, it
Yep.
will, one, it won't lead to the next thing, but it could hurt you too. Like, oh, that person doesn't show up on time, or they're not really responsible when they, come to work. So in our final minute, Adam, why don't you give the young people any other words of wisdom or advice that you might have looked, when you look back on, that you would have done differently, or that you would recommend for them to look at the future?
Well, I think just to touch on what you said real quick, I think you be very careful with what you never know what's going to come full circle. There's many times where someone I've worked with, 5, 10 years ago that I thought I'd never see again, and now, maybe they're my client now. So be careful on what you do, and you don't want to burn those bridges with other people. But my advice to everyone is get out there and try different things. Don't come out of high school thinking you have to have a career set. You don't. Go to college or go do whatever you want to do, but try to find something you're passionate about and do the best at it that you can. But don't have that stress. Too many kids are stressed out that, oh, I have to find something that I have to do that I love. You don't have to find it out right away. You have time, but try to find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, I think that's so true. That is a journey. I mean, even when we heard your story, you started out of college in Florida, you did concrete to bridges, now you're building buildings, that you didn't have it all figured out then. And
So,
it has changed and morphed, and you enjoyed the travel. Now you are more of a dad, so you want to be home more. So
exactly.
that there's choices all along the way.
Yeah, it's a great career to be in. And I'll just add too, I'd say it's probably 20% of the people that I work with are women. So it's a big career for women as well. So, all you girls out there, don't be afraid to try it out.
Yeah, in fact, I think for some, as workforces are trying to be diversified, they're going to be looking for women really
Yeah,
intentionally.
definitely.
For the young people on the call, I wanted us to point out something called onetonline.org, and you can put in construction manager or project manager into that occupation quick search, and read some of the nuts and bolts about what this career is all about. How much money they make, and what the projected demand for this kind of career is, the different paths to get there. So I just want to point out that resource. Adam has been very generous to give you his email address if you do have a follow-up question, or would like to see if a job shadow might be possible after COVID lightens up a little bit there. That is his email. So write that down. I'll just give it a minute here so kids can write that down. And teachers too. And then of course, my name is Krista Harmon at kentisd.org, but we have all sorts of programming to try to connect young people to professionals so they can hear stories like this. And that can be found at careerreadiness.kentisd.org. So that's where we host some of our program information. And definitely with construction, we've taken groups of students out where they get to put hard hats on and safety vest and, see Meyer Gardens renovation going on and, just be out there by that trailer and talk to the different people because there's so many people that make this all happen,
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I really appreciate the time today, Adam. It was so great to learn about your career and project management and all the ins and outs that you just shared. That's good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.